When it first arrived on the market back in 2016, the Hyundai IONIQ seemed like a pretty competent vehicle. It had an EPA-approved range of 124 miles per charge from its 28 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion polymer battery, and it was, for a while, the most efficient electric vehicle that you could buy. For Europeans who didn't want to spend the kind of money needed to get a Tesla, the IONIQ filled a gap in the market, or at least went head-to-head with the 30 kilowatt-hour variant of the first-generation Nissan Leaf, at least for a short time. And it really was a short time. 2016 was the year that the Chevrolet Bolt EV launched in the US. 2016 was the year before the second-generation Nissan Leaf launched. And when both of these two vehicles were on the market for not a lot more money, the IONIQ EV and its 88 kilowatt electric motor suddenly seemed not so appealing. Granted, it could rapid charge at a rate of up to 100 kilowatts, something no other CCS-equipped car at the time could. But it still wasn't all that impressive as a total package. Since then, as you might expect, the IONIQ EV hasn't sold so well in markets where more capable electric cars have been available, although it's continued to sell well in markets where that's not the case. Almost immediately after it went on sale, we started to hear rumours about future upgrades for the vehicle's battery pack and range. Hyundai itself promised at one point that we'd see a 200-mile capable IONIQ EV by last year. That never happened, but earlier this week we learned that the IONIQ EV is, like the rest of the IONIQ family, getting a mid-cycle update for 2020. That includes some new features for the infotainment system, a few exterior styling tweaks, and for the IONIQ EV, a much-needed upgrade to its battery capacity. Upgraded from 28 kilowatt-hours to 38 kilowatt-hours, Hyundai now says that the 2020 IONIQ EV will travel 182 miles on the WLTP test cycle. That probably translates to a real-world range of around 165 to 170 miles per charge, putting it in the same kind of ballpark as the 40 kilowatt-hour Nissan Leaf. The electric motor gets upgraded too, going from 88 kilowatts in the previous year's IONIQ to 99 kilowatts. That actually should help improve what is honestly a rather sluggish performance from previous year's IONIQ EVs, but I'd also expect some of that extra power to be soaked up by carrying what I assume will be a slightly heavier battery pack around. Hyundai says other upgrades for the IONIQ Electric include a new telematics system for the car, including a new 10.25-inch split touchscreen center console, a new connectivity service, including a feature that calls the emergency services if airbags go off or there's a collision detected, and a revised air conditioning control panel. That is all fantastic, all well and good, but I'm sure there's one question many people are asking. Why bother upgrading the IONIQ EV with just a 38 kilowatt-hour battery pack when the Kona Electric is being sold with 60 plus kilowatt-hours? Why upgrade a car to keep up with the tail end of the current market when it clearly could be setting the leaderboard? The answer, I think, is pretty simple. There's a market for this car, regardless of what you might have heard, at least in some markets. In the US, where crossovers are king, hatchbacks like the IONIQ EV are seen by many as being a little too small. The Kona Electric and its sibling, the Kia Niro EV, will sell far more examples than the IONIQ ever will. In North America as well, range is more important than it is in other markets because, well, the country's pretty big. In Europe, however, where buyers tend to be a little more conscious of price and where hatchbacks are still really quite well loved, the IONIQ EV and its 170-ish miles of range will be more than enough for most people. Take the UK, for example. It's really not far from one side of the country to the other, and you'd be able to drive it in the IONIQ EV with a full charge when you leave and a quick, short charging stop to about 80% halfway. And while the IONIQ EV, at least the versions I've driven, isn't exactly a sporty driving experience, it slots into the marketplace where the Nissan Leaf sits. It's a mid-range, affordable EV that, if it's priced appropriately, should bring a whole new massive group of people into the electric car family. Sadly though, that's the problem. In the US, the IONIQ EV hasn't ever been appropriately priced for what it offers in terms of range and performance. It's been really overpriced, and consequently people are ignoring it for better equipped, similarly priced variants. Hyundai has the Kona Electric for high-end range requirements. The IONIQ EV is clearly aimed at more modest pockets. So let's just hope it manages to price it to sell. That's it. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.